Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, entitled neighbor wants copy of grandma's will. My friend is upset my brother won't pay for her to attend his wedding. Lady on the bus scolds me for sitting because I'm young and healthy and demands that I give up my seat. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled neighbor wants copy of grandma's will. When my grandmother was diagnosed with cancer, she opted for no treatment. She had watched her husband go through chemo, radiation and surgery, and he was miserable the whole time. She didn't want that for herself. Her family supported her. Over the next year, she gifted items to family and friends, told us to write our names on the things we want, take what we wanted, etc. There were conditions. No, you can't have that, it's a family heirloom meant to go to aunt and her kids, or to dad and his kids. We all knew what those items were and who they were going to, so that was easily settled after she died. The house was inherited by my father, who very suddenly and unexpectedly passed away 2 weeks later. I inherited the house at that point. The next-door neighbor, we'll call him Todd, came over several times, upset that he and his kids, 21F, 19M, weren't invited to grandma's funeral. There wasn't one, we were all too busy reeling from my father's death, weren't presented with a copy of the will, it only included family members, and he knew grandma loved his kids like her own. She didn't. She complained about them coming over all the time, stealing her water to fill their pool, and she had to tell them to stop calling her grandma. He wanted to know if I would allow his kids to go through the house to see if there was anything they'd like to take to remember her by. Okay, first, dude. My grandma died 4 weeks ago. And, dude, my dad died 2 weeks ago. I thought he was awfully rude, but I offered to let them go through the boxes I had packed that I was planning to donate, and he was offended. I mean, mortified. He said his daughter and son had their hearts set on some items that were family heirlooms, and I literally laughed at him. I explained they were family heirlooms and would be staying with me, and 2 of the items had already gone home with my brother. He said my kids were her family and she would have gifted those to them. They should have been included along with everyone else when everything was divided up. Keep in mind that none of us knew this guy or his kids other than the neighbors next door. They were never at any family gatherings that were held at her house, and the only time I ever heard her talk about them was when she was complaining about them. Especially when she caught them using both her hoses to fill up their pool and then came over complaining because she had put locks on the outdoor faucets. Luckily, Todd's house was in foreclosure and he moved away about a year later. I have more stories, but those will come later. Edit, this seriously blew up. I'm still going through comment, but, wow, you all are hysterical. I wish I'd had the wherewithal to do even half the things in the moment that you've suggested. I did want to clear a few things up. 1. This happened a little over 10 years ago. We were all prepared for grandma's passing, and while we were sad, we were also, but my dad's passing was unexpected and absolutely devastating. He was my best friend and I feel his loss almost daily. I am surprised at how much everyone's condolences mean to me even after so many years. Thank you. 2. Todd brought up the subject 3 times in the year he lived next door, all within about 2 weeks. This particular incident was the end of it. The first 2 times were eyebrow-raising hints where I walked away not really sure if I was interpreting his words correctly. This time he was brazenly clear, and when I laughed and told him he couldn't have the items he listed, he never brought it up again. I would have slowly shut the door on him, making extremely uncomfortable eye contact with a twitch in my left eye. Literally WTF. Practicing that eye twitch in the mirror now. Kids don't get their hearts set on inheriting things. This was a grifter hoping to get something to pawn. I agree, although I didn't realize it at the time. His house was being foreclosed and his son had a drug habit. About a month before they moved out, my house was broken into, but I came home and they ran out the back door as I came in the front. The only thing they got was my laptop. Alarm system and cameras were up within 2 weeks of that. I always suspected it was the son, but there was nothing to point towards him. I really hope I never meet anyone that entitled. I can relate. Not even 24 hours after my grandfather died, a so-called family friend came by to ask my grandmother for half of the farm. His justification was that he did work on the farm, so half should be his. He did work, but it was small handyman projects, which he did half-assed. He had no part in helping with the daily operation of our crop farm. 18 days later, she passed away. 6 months later, we sold the farm. He had the audacity to show up again after she died, a threat of bodily harm involving a shotgun, and he left. Never to be seen again. Want to trace out your family tree? Don't pay 23andMe, just post on Facebook that you won the lottery. My friend is upset my brother won't pay for her to attend his wedding. My brother is getting married this winter and him and his fiancée decided to have a destination wedding. They chose Hawaii, near where his best man grew up, and are paying for the people they really want to be there to attend. This entails mostly immediate family members as well as very close friends of my brother and his fiancée. It was planned well in advance and I think it's generous enough, but my friend is upset that she's not included. We grew up together and she is very close to our family, so she's invited, but they're not paying for her. She's been complaining about how I get to go for free and how she can't afford it. I told her that she doesn't have to be there and they won't be upset if she can't go. She thinks she needs to go and wants me to help foot the bill for her to attend. I think she's being ridiculous and entitled. Edit, we're 19 and my brother is 27, so she was never as close with him as she is with me and my parents. She's upset that you, the sister of the groom, goes for free and her, the friend of the sister of the groom, has to pay. What an entitled girl. Are you possibly rethinking this friendship? 'Cause I would. I love the way you emphasize what you were saying with all caps in your response. One time someone got all over my case about using caps, but it really makes what you type sound right. And I agree, she needs to reconsider this friendship. Something about the friend's understanding of who should be covered is off. He should pay for me, too, because I am the person who responded to the person who responded to the sister of the groom. Laughed at that she thinks she needs to go. No, she doesn't think she needs to go, but she very much wants a free holiday. Yup, she is not the bride or the groom. Or even involved in the ceremony. She has no need to go. Friend just wants a free vacation to Hawaii. I'd bet that if the trip was paid for, she'd skip out on 98% of wedding activities. Your friend needs a reality check. She isn't a main character. The first mistake was telling her your trip is paid for. That's not her business. Lady on the bus scolds me for sitting because I'm young and healthy and demands that I give up my seat. I suffer from chronic illnesses and chronic back plus hip pain. I rarely take the bus because it's less painful to drive myself or to have someone drive me for my back. I get on the bus and find an open seat, so I sit down. At the next stop, some entitled Karen, EK, gets on the bus and stands next to me with a displeased look on her face. EK, excuse me? Me, hello, do you need something? EK, you know that there are older people on the bus who need to sit? People like me. Me, I'm sorry, there are probably other seats in the back. I really need that seat. EK, stop talking this nonsense, you're a healthy young girl who is clearly healthy. I need to sit. Me, I might look healthy, but I'm not, and young people can be ill too. So please leave me alone. People start to look at us because she is huffing and puffing loudly. EK, today's youth is so spoiled. You need to learn to respect your elders. Then she literally tried to sit on top of me? Me, stop it, lady. Get away from me, I don't want you to touch me. EK, get off this seat and we'll both be happy. You don't need it. This lady, half of her fat ass on top of me, started to make herself comfortable on me. At this point I was in a shit ton of pain and screaming at her to get away from me whilst holding back tears from the pain. The bus driver had to stop to have her removed. A girl from my class came and comforted me even though she barely knows me. Happy end, I guess? But still, how do people just decide to sit on top of a person just to get what they want? Even if the OP didn't have pain and illness, she still had the right in the seat. Heck, if I were in that situation, where some lady were to sit on me, I'd immediately push them, screaming at the top of my lungs to get off me. If she made a fuss of assault, you can point out she was sitting on top of you. The only way it's okay for a human to sit in you is if it's a young child you allow on your lap. I feel this. I am 33 and look completely healthy. But I have chronic illnesses that cause me to be in constant pain. If I stand too long, my legs have a tendency to give out on me, and the next thing I know I am on the ground. There is no way on it, but I would be able to stand, period. Either my legs would give out due to pain and weakness, or one good sharp turn or stop and I would lose footing and crash into something or someone. I don't care who you are, your age doesn't entitle you to assault someone. Which is what she did by putting all her weight on you. Someone did that to me, and their body would be covered in scratches, and they would be missing clumps of hair. I'm sorry this happened to you. I hate it when entitled people assume you're healthy just because you don't show any outward signs of health issues. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.